It's my pleasure to have some time with you this afternoon to introduce the Asialink Leaders Program and a new opportunity to join it anywhere through our virtual hub access. Firstly, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of all of the lands on which we meet virtually today. I'm joining you from the lands of the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. I'm Catherine Ludford, Director of Capability Development at Asialink Business, Australia's Centre for Asia Capability. Today you'll hear from 5 perspectives. We start with the big picture. Why Asia? Why now? And we could spend a day on this, and in fact we do, of course, in the Leaders Program. That big picture is probably the reason why you're here today, you know, that chance to really understand and navigate an increasingly complex, sophisticated, diverse, fast evolving Asia and the opportunities for engagement between Australia and the Indo-Pacific region. Lotta Oberg, our Program Director for the Asialink Leaders Program, will give more information about the program itself, and we'll deep dive too into the virtual hub. We'll then move into some conversations with 2 Asialink leaders who were part of our pilot virtual hub in 2021 and invite them to share their perspectives in the program. Your questions are warmly welcome throughout our information session. Please do use the Q&A box and we'll come to those questions at the end of our session. It is my great pleasure to introduce Tarandeep Singh Ahuja. Tarandeep is a partner at McKinsey & Company and also the chair of our Asialink Business Advisory Council. Tarandeep's wearing both those hats today and will share some recent research from McKinsey on the way Asia's changing and the implications of that for our organisations. With that, Tarandeep, can I hand over to you? Get us started today with a very short introduction, I guess, to this vast topic. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. And welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. The question Catherine had put out to me was why Asia and why now? And I actually think that's not the right question. I would actually like to reframe the question to, if not Asia, where? And if not now, when? Let's unpack that a little bit. I'll start at the macro level, right? If you look at us, you know, you'd say Australia is the lucky country. We've had an amazing run over the last 3 decades. So why do we care about Asia, or for that matter, any other international jurisdiction at all? Well, the pandemic and the resultant challenges and disruptions of the last couple of years have really brought to life and highlighted how much connected the world really is. You know, disruption thousands of miles away can have a massive impact on us. So we really need to understand what's going on around us. And if you take more of a business perspective, you know, we at McKinsey, we've done some recent research and we've looked at the ASX 100 companies, and the ones that have significantly grown their international revenue have delivered twice the total return to shareholders. And that is quite a significant impact of growing internationally. And as you think about international growth, Asia is where the real action is. You know, no matter what metric you pick, Asia is almost half the world. It's 60% of the overall population. If you look at the middle class, about 50% of the global middle class and consuming classes in Asia. If you look at growth, Asia is growing much faster than the West and will be half the GDP over the next couple of decades. If you look at Fortune 500 companies, more than 40% of them are in Asia. So it's really where the action is. And if you take the Australian perspective, Asia is by far our biggest trading partners. You know, almost 80% of our exports, 60% of our imports are to Asia. More than half of our top 10 trading partners are in Asia. Our investments are increasingly, you know, focused on Asia, and vice versa, Asian investments coming in. Geopolitically, it's becoming much more and more important and relevant. So to me, the question of why Asia is almost a no-brainer. The challenge is we are not Asia literate. If you look at the research, including Asialink research over the last few years, we do not understand Asia. Our senior leaders, whether in business, on boards, executives, public service, we don't have Asia literacy at a level where it needs to be. Now, the complication there is Asia isn't monolithic. It's quite vastly diverse. If you look at China, India, Indonesia, Japan, Singapore, Korea, very different countries, very different economies, very different culture, different political systems. So you can't just have a view on what Asia is. You really need to go granular and unpick that. And also it's evolving very, very rapidly. So a lot of the cliches about Asia are not relevant. So you really need to go beneath the surface to understand what is going on. To give you a couple of examples there, right? People have been talking about the Asian middle class for the last 10 years, and the growth is all in the middle class. But the game is now within the middle class, what's going on. And if you unpick that, 80% of the growth is actually in the top 2 layers of the middle class, which means much more focus on service-oriented consumption, which has implications on what we think about when we say we export from Australia. It's no longer about putting stuff on a board and sending it. It's a much more services-oriented economy and therefore a services-oriented export strategy. If you look at consumers, there's been recognized that the mega cities in Asia are growing and will continue to grow. But again, the game is what's happening within those mega cities. What are the specific segments and sub-segments? You talk about the segment of one that the internet has enabled. Asian people in general are much more open and okay with sharing information about them to get more targeted services. And that really opens up the opportunity for our exporters to target specific segments which could use their products and services. You look at innovation, Asia was probably behind 20 years ago. It's leapfrogging the rest of the world. Half the Asian population is digital natives. It's faster growth in internet, e-commerce than the rest of the world. If you look at ease of doing business, many Asian countries are working on reforms and significant improvement in ease of doing business to attract investment. So the narrative about Asia that was there 10 years ago is no longer relevant and valid. And therefore, we really need to think about upping our game in terms of Asia literacy. The opportunity is massive. The challenge is also big because of the complexity, because of the rapid pace. But if we don't go after it now, we will really miss the opportunity. So that's my view on sort of why Asia, why now? And then the question is how, right? Because of the granularity, it's not easy to understand Asia. You could obviously go there, talk to the leaders in different places. There's plenty of research that has been done about Asia. At McKinsey, we've got a whole suite of articles and research called The Future of Asia, which is all in the public domain, so you can access. But the best way probably is to join the Asialink Leaders Program and very quickly and effectively build your knowledge on that. So I would summarize it by saying today, Asia is not a choice. It's an imperative for Australia and for all of you as leaders. Understanding Asia is going to be invaluable. So with that, welcome to Asialink Business, and we look forward to having you here to continue your journey. And I'll hand over to you, Lotta, to take us through the next part of the program.
Thank you so much, Tarandeep. And you really set that up well, that premise that Asia is becoming more complex, more diversified. And so we must become more sophisticated, more nuanced, more granular in our understanding and approach to the region. And as you said, that's what the Asialink Leaders Program is about. It's one way to do that. So as program director, I'm really glad to be here with you all, and a warm welcome to you to share what this program is, who comes to it as leaders and as contributors, and how this is actually done. And as Catherine pointed out, it's with the input of our lovely 2021 leaders. So we are going to very quickly give you a snapshot of the program. And to that end, I'm going to share some of the what first. It is a program in its 26th year. And if you were to join us, it will be in the 27th cohort that you came in. And the premise has always been the same in the sense that we bring together people from across sectors, a great diverse cohort who are all really focused on building that Asia capability that you, Tarandeep, talked about, the sort of partly a cure, an ongoing cure for the lack of Asia literacy that happens across Australia and the region, but it's also a fact of the granularity, the complexity, and the constant change. So we have leaders who join us who have 3 decades of experience in Asia, and many of you who are listening and being with us today are in Asia, but they know that there is always a limit to what you can get across, and this program really accelerates, broadens, and widens that. If you were to join us, you'd be part of this great cohort of like-minded Asia-engaged people, and we would bring you some very deep insights and expertise, and then work with you through this facilitated process in the virtual hub to make sure that it pays dividends in tangible ways, as well as in the long-term future. So because the value of the program is not just in what you learn, but in who you meet and who you learn with and from, we're going to have a quick look at that. And I guess what I would say is that while the premise is the same, the way we deliver it has really changed. So 2021, we piloted the virtual hub. And in 2022, we found that that was so valuable and successful that we built a whole custom experience for you, which we're going to share. And I'm going to get Catherine Mudford and our leaders to share with you. But first, just an understanding of who might be coming into a program like this, and it might be many of you today. I can only share that very briefly by showing you 12 out of the 50 leaders we have in 2021. And as you know, you'll hear from Thea Kurniawan and Dr. Dan Billing in a moment. These leaders, as you see when you even scan such a snapshot, they are of incredible caliber, as many of you and all of you will be here. They are from diversity of sectors, backgrounds, and they all come together with that intent to deepen and widen their Australia-Asia engagement. And what's different is their starting points. So we have folks who are in Australia, regional and rural Australia for the virtual hub, and who have a portfolio that they really want to be driving, responsibility for their organization's footprint in the region. We have people who are, like many of you, in the region and wanting to navigate the relationship with Asia, with Australia, or with Asia at large, or wanting to go beyond a single market expertise, which many bring in. And it's really in the cross-pollination between these different perspectives that some of the magic happens in terms of insights and learning. And in terms of that learning journey, what we do is that we pull in really valuable and important and contemporary perspectives, and we center them around key themes for our time. So you would hear from 60, 70 speakers, you would hear from them around these themes, and we really curate it so you hear different perspectives, because that's also the value of broadening and deepening. I'm going to show you a couple of people that we have heard from in the last year or so. They come to you in the virtual space, and I think what's worth pointing out that it's not just about content and speakers. These people aren't speakers as a profession, they are experts and leaders, and they share with you their insights and then come to you under Chatham House rule and really engage and interact with you. And the insights that you get, the stimulation that you get, is then funneled through into something quite tangible, which is something you nominate if you're a leader or yourself that you might consider for this program. It's called a workplace project. We have 950 of them because each leader work on one during the 7-month learning journey. And as you can see by even sharing 7 of them, again, they're very diverse. But they all amount to a positive change in our relationships with the region and between Australia and the region. And with that, I'm going to hand over to you, Catherine, to talk us through, so how is this actually happening through a learning journey?
Great, thanks so much, Lotta. So what you can see now is the journey that you can expect to go on in the 7 months that you'll spend on the Asialink Leaders Program. When you join us virtually or as part of the virtual hub, there's really a quite unique journey that's been crafted for you. You'll have moments where you are invited to be together as the virtual hub, and you'll have moments in the program where you work more broadly with the whole national cohort. So let me take a minute just to share that with you. You're in a parallel, I would say, but distinct journey. You're guided by a dedicated virtual hub facilitator. Participants in the virtual hub are connected together as a cohort, and you connect with the in-person cohort at different points in the program. So in the foundation week, you join as a virtual hub, you connect via live stream with our expert faculty, and you begin your Asia capability journey there. Really exploring, as Lotta said, Australia's connection with Asia as a region, but the region's connection back with Australia, and building some deeper knowledge into this sort of the distinct histories, cultures, contemporary views of different countries and cultures across the region, and the evolving relationship Australia has with each of those. You'll then join your little pods, which are for pod coaching throughout the program. So the workplace project that Lotta's just mentioned is something that you work on through the course of the Asialink Leaders program. In groups of 6 to 8, you'll have the opportunity for pod coaching to really help you explore those projects from different perspectives, to really build your own panel of experts who'll provide advice and guidance. And those pods are formed cross cohorts. So some folks from virtual, some folks from the in-person experience. The program intersessions, which run throughout the program, build specific capabilities that help you communicate, engage, influence in these new contexts, and give you a window into contemporary Asia, from fast evolving technologies to new business models to startup ecosystems and emerging markets. And again, you will have a chance to work across cohort, virtual and face-to-face cohort participants in those sessions. The Canberra Summit provides a view of the Australia-Asia relationship through a federal lens. In the virtual hub, you will access day 1 of the Canberra Summit, but days 2, 3, and 4, for the reasons that you can imagine, are closed door sessions and not available virtually. If you're able to come to Canberra, you can access days 2, 3, and 4 through an additional fee, and we can talk to you about that. You'll have your own exclusive presentation of your workplace projects and culminating in a graduation ceremony. So I think the best thing for us would be for you to hear what it's like to be part of the virtual hub through the voices of a couple of folks who were with us in 2021. And Lotta, I'll hand to you to invite Thea and Dan to share a little bit of their experience.
Yes, thank you so much, Catherine. And I'm going to invite Thea to join us now. So Thea Kuniawan, we are so happy to have you with us. You're joining us from Perth. So you want to tell us what's going on at your end?
Yeah, thanks, Lotta. Hi, everyone. Hope you all can hear me okay. I am outside. And now I'm based in Perth, and I'm coming at you from a very sunny UWA campus.
It's wonderful. And I know you're very involved in the activities there, of course. You are there a senior analyst with Hatch, and you work across sectors and across cultures with Indonesia, the US, Australia. You grew up across cultures. You studied across cultures from Stanford University to Tsinghua University. You have so many activities going on, which is why you're on campus as well. What brought you to the Leaders Program? You're already very involved in the relationship. So what were you looking for?
Yeah, so like Lotta's already mentioned, I grew up in a very cross-cultural upbringing. While that was definitely quite tiring to adapt when I was actually experiencing it, reflecting back, I'm very grateful for that. And I've always wondered how I can utilize that, I guess, best of both worlds mindset in my work and in the things that I do. So honestly, the Asialink Leaders Program really attracted me, especially as an early professional, early in my career, because in the hopes that the program could be a great accelerator in terms of, for learning and progressing my Asia-Australia capability. Obviously, COVID has been a great disruptor in our work and in how we usually do work. I, to be honest, am more of an old-fashioned person at heart. I tend to do a lot of my work and leadership in person. So I also was really curious to meet like-minded leaders to see how they overcame challenges with, this new society where we can't connect with each other in person, how they can still keep their work and, their teams progressing through this online space. But also because I feel that I am, still, I guess, quite young. I initially thought that the Asialink program was not something for me, given that, I was looking at the website and felt that a lot of the photos of previous leaders, they looked a lot more senior and a lot more, probably wise in their ways. And I thought that I didn't really have much to contribute at the time. But then Lotta and all the other amazing people of the organising committee were saying, this is definitely a program for emerging leaders as well. And they were very welcoming. And one thing led to another, and it's been a really fantastic experience.
Oh, thank you, Thea. And I think that's the strength of the cohort, isn't it? The diversity of all kinds. And you get that when you have an inclusive environment and a common goal. And so I'm wondering, just very briefly, from where you're sitting, what was your experience like in terms of the connections and the content that was part of this program?
Yeah, so as Catherine and Lotta mentioned earlier, obviously, given I'm in Perth, I was part of the pilot virtual hub along with Dan. Honestly, at first, I was not really looking forward to another whole set of Zoom calls. I do a lot of Zoom calling and Teams calling already for my work, and I thought it was just going to be a lot of Zoom fatigue. But honestly, the program was curated very carefully and well thought out, in the sense that we were able to have really interactive sessions and a really great diverse mix.
We do have a little bit of a breaking connection. Were you there, Thea?
The program per. Okay. Yeah, so it was a great mix of lectures, fireside chats, Q&A, to even cohort to be able to talk to Upma Verdi from Chai Wally, who's an amazing female founder, local business of her own chai company, and to be able to actually bring our laptops or our devices to our stoves and make.
That's wonderful, Thea. And one of the things
all together as one cohort was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And because we had a slight break of connection, I think everyone very much got the gist though, Thea, about the variety of delivery modules and ways to interact and engage. And of course, tech troubles is part of the environment. We all have that, and we do our best to overcome that in the program, of course, and having very, it's been quite smooth overall. But I think, what you're saying is that it's been something that's been impactful and something that's really supported you. So I'm going to thank you so much for your time, Thea. There's always more to say, but we got a strong flavor for why you came to the program and what you experienced in it. So thank you so much for that. And I'm now going to invite Dr. Dan Billings. So welcome, Dan, and thank you for joining us from Seoul in the Republic of Korea. Let's see if we can get you on. There you are. How are things where you are, Dan? If we get you off mute.
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's nice and cold here in Seoul at the moment. I think -6 right now.
Wow. We're going to try to feel that from wherever we're tuning in, because in many places it's a lot hotter. I'm going to say, Dan, that you came to us with so much experience. I think Thea pointed out that there's a place for emerging leaders and established leaders. And you're coming to us as, of course, Counselor of Defense, Science and Technology at the Australian Embassy in Seoul. You have so much experience in the region. You work with international partners, you have a current diplomatic posting, you lead research programs, you chair conferences. So from that perspective of that deep expertise, what brought you to the program?
Thanks, Lotta. So my primary driver for commencing the Asialink Leaders Program last year was really to consolidate and formalize my knowledge of the region. I'd been at the Australian Embassy in Seoul for 1 year at the time, and it became apparent to me that not only did I need to understand the unique architecture of the Republic of Korea government and industry, but I also needed to understand Korea in the context of the broader Indo-Pacific region. And the Asialink Leaders Program allowed me to really formalize and consolidate my knowledge across the entire region, so that when I was making decisions on behalf of the Australian government on a day-to-day basis, I could put that into context with the region, but also our specific strategy in regard to engaging Korea.
Excellent, thank you. We're going to get some questions coming through the chat. I know we've already got some questions having been put to us, but what we'll do is we'll share a little bit more, and then we'll see if that answers some of those questions. And just so that everyone knows that when we do get to the half hour, we are going to also stay here, though not on video, in terms of videoing and recording. So please keep them coming, and please know that you can stay and have informal chit chats to us after as well. But Dan, thank you for sharing that. And I guess when you're looking back at that, you accessed this program from Seoul. What was your experience? What were some of your aha moments as you were pursuing that outcome?
Well, I guess firstly, I was hoping the pandemic was going to be over last year. And I must be honest, I was disappointed when the program shifted to a virtual delivery model. But in hindsight now, and what was an aha moment for me is that the way in which we engage the region, and a lot of my work is virtually anyway. So we need to build competencies to fully realise the opportunities that we have as Australians to engage the region. And there is some cultural sensitivities or cultural context that needs to be taken into account when engaging both face-to-face and virtually. And so in the end, now that I'm sitting in this position looking back, actually the virtual delivery model has served me very well in my engagement here at the Australian Embassy.
Thank you, Dan. It's a great reflection that it actually mirrors the way we engage with the region as well. I wonder then, what are you bringing back to your organization, to the embassy, to DFAT in terms of the skills and the insights and the connections?
Well, I guess there's content, and I've spoken about content, me wanting to formalize my knowledge of the Indo-Pacific region and Australia's place in that region. But really what I found most valuable, in addition to the content, was the cohort. So the cohort through which I worked with last year had very different problems and came at issues and challenges from a very different context. And I greatly valued the opportunity to share my approach and even refine my approach in discussions with other participants. And I think that's one of the greatest values that Asialink Leaders Program provides to those interested in taking part, is the connections you make across the cohort and how that may assist you in your endeavours in engaging in Asia.
Thank you, Dan. That's fantastic. Cohort as is important as content, and connection, I think, is the most important thing overall. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Thea. We hope, of course, that with sharing this, we have made you get a feeling for, and not just information about, the Asialink Leaders Program Virtual Hub in 2022. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide you with the next step if you're interested to learn more. We, of course, are very excited to hear from you with any questions or applications that you might want to make. You have in the chat box the link that you need. You're very welcome to contact me, to contact Claire Stevens and Emma Wallace, who are speaking daily with people who are very interested in both the virtual hub and the on-the-ground hubs. So we really look forward to hearing from you. We hope that today was useful for you. And we would like to thank again Tarandip Singh Ahuja, Dr. Dan Billing, and Tia Kurniawan. Thank you, everyone. And we're going to stay on now for questions and answers if you want to stop putting them in the chat, but we'll stop recording now.